Well, hello everybody, and welcome to day 3 of my here at the gathering. I was asking designers, but today for my first guest, I have someone different than a designer, someone that you guys all know, Scott Alden. No, everyone should know who you guys are or who you are. We have Scott Alden, better known as Aldi, who is the owner and runs Board Game Geek and does everything, so that way you guys at home could find out about games. I mean, this is, to me, Board Game Geek is kind of the encyclopedia or the Wikipedia or the IMDb kind of thing for games, and this is the man behind it. So if you guys have any questions about Board Game Geek or anything like that, just start sending out the questions and we'll get to it. But so Scott, tell me kind of the history, how you decided to create such an amazing site.
The history?
Yeah.
That's a good half-an-hour story. But I'll give you the quick rundown. Actually, I'm the owner, but I don't do it all. We have a team. It's a team game. So 8 people, employees, basically, to run the website and do all the work. And I'm more of a programmer and then a manager now. So instead of I don't do it all. There's no way. It's too big for that. But back in, you want me to do the story?
Yeah, okay. Tell me it.
Back in 1999, kind of in the era of the commercial internet, like there wasn't very many websites.
Yeah.
And I got into this hobby, the board gaming hobby, through playing the Settlers of Catan. Just randomly bought it at the game store. Total random, like honestly. And changed my life. Right.
Yes.
Overnight. I was hooked, infatuated, obsessed with that game. Played it a ton. I should also say that in the same day I bought that game, I bought Manhattan. Remember the original Manhattan?
Yeah, Manhattan. There was actually 4 games that came out. It was Settlers, Manhattan, Modern Art, and there was a 4th one, the one with the trains where you're moving them around.
Lineine?
Yes.
Line 1?
Yeah, Line 1.
Lineines.
And Cleveland Grand Prix, Detroit Cleveland Grand Prix. Those were the 5.
Those were like the 5 Mayfair games.
Those were the 5
like
Mayfair games.
Yes. So I had played Settlers, and I was just obsessed with it. I loved it. And so I scoured the internet, and back in those days, there was not a lot to scour. There was a few blogs for sure. Mixfelov, The Game Cabinet, Gaming Dumpster, Peter Serrett's Game Report. A smattering. Not even close to what's available now. But I was like, I want to keep tracking these games. Like, I would buy games from Germany, and I would not know what I was getting, right? I don't know, for those old schoolers, if you remember Adam Spielt.
Yeah, I remember Adam Spielt.
You were an Adam Spielter?
Of course, the big catalogs that they send.
With really nice catalogs.
Yes.
You call them, and they speak English, and they're like, yep. And then you would make an order, and then 4 to 6 weeks later, you would get a big, giant box. At least I did. And I was getting boxes weekly. I was spending, I'm a single guy back then, spending all my cash on the games. But the thing is, you didn't know anything about them. So I got, through my game group, I got invited to this mailing list called Desert Island Gamers. Yeah, can't say
Digger group. Oh, I was in that too.
You were in the Digger group? Okay.
Yeah.
So the Digger group was fascinating, and it had tons and tons of information from years and years and years of people typing in session reports and reviews and posting stuff. And I was like, man, why is this all secret? Not secret, but it was an invitation-only list, and you could not access that outside of the list.
That was that crazy. This was, guys, back in the days when Yahoo was cool, and there were Yahoo groups, and you could make them private. That's what this was.
Exactly. So it was a private mailing list with a ton of information. I'm like, man, I want to create a website, talk about these games. I didn't actually say talk about it. I wanted to just database them. So the original BGG was just a database. There was no interaction. And what we did was we would cut and paste the session reports out of that group with permission and post them on the BGG website. So the first 500 games are my collection and my ex-co-founders, ex-business partners collection, and that was what created the first database.
It's really interesting to hear, the background and to realize, I was obviously into gaming back then too, and yeah, Settlers kind of changed the world, and it made Eurogaming cool. Before that, it was kind of Avalon Hill games and the older Mayfair games, those big heavy ones like Road to the White House, and those really heavy, the crayon rails and
Settlers. Mayfair was definitely a big part of my life there. But when I got Tigers and Euphrates, that
Yes.
really was like, oh my god, that was really the like BGG was in my mind, but then Tigers and Euphrates made me do it.
Yes.
So those two games together, I think Settlers is number 13 and Tigers and Euphrates number 42. Game IDs on BGG.
Ah,
42.
What's number one? What's number one? Buonocore. Oh, well,
Buonocore.
Of course. The best selection game ever made.
Probably and quite ahead of its time.
Yes.
And if you ever get a chance to play Buonocore, do it. It's fascinating.
Yes.
And really, there's no equal today.
Yeah, so we have some questions here.
Sure.
Let's get to some of the questions that our audience has. I see everyone's very happy,
Hey,
Someone
everybody.
here said that they love the new Board Game Geek show, and they're very happy.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I don't know if you remember back in 2005, I did a podcast.
No, I
One
didn't.
of the first 5 podcasters. Me, Adam Curry, a couple other people I can't remember now. I don't remember being Adam Curry. And so I always wanted to create something like that. And that kind of is bringing back those old memories, and it's been a lot of fun.
Okay, so give us a sample of your segment. What has Aldi been playing lately?
What has Aldi been playing? I played Field of Arl for the first time.
For the first time?
Yes. It's a 2-player game, right? So you really have to, I'm pretty not a 2-player gamer.
Yeah.
I play a lot of multiplayer games. I really don't love 2-player, the feeling of 2-player games with just head-to-head. I'm like, me against you. But I played with Steph Hodge, who, if you have not checked out her blog, go All the Meeples of the Rainbow, search for that, and you'll find her blog. She's amazing. She taught me, and she was a great teacher. We finished in about 2.5 hours, and I really love it. It's a Uwe Rosenberg design from a couple years ago, I think.
Yeah, about 4 or 5 years ago.
Is it that old already?
Maybe, or 3.
So it's a worker placement game.
Yes.
And you have seasons. You have I should say, winter and not winter, right? So during the summer, whatever sunny months, you can do all kinds of farming stuff. I mean, it's mind-boggling how many options you have, and there's a lot of different strategies. But it's primarily about harvesting peat. That's the core mechanism. And peat is your life, right? It's your source of. I guess they used it for lots of stuff back then. So, and most importantly, heat in the winter. But it was really cool. I started off with a animal breeding strategy, but then I have all these animals, so then I started butchering them, and
no, it's okay.
Shipping stuff, right? The horses can be used to ship things, and it's just a really cool game.
Yes, it is. So, what has Jason been playing lately? Well, I played something that might blow this guy's mind. I played the Field of Our expansion, which now makes it a 3-player game.
Gosh, a 3-player?
Yes, they have a 3-player expansion. I don't know if you knew that. Should. It's in your database.
No, we did not. Steph went easy on me, and she did not. She goes, if you play with the new expansion, it doubles the amount of options you have, really, and that's insane to me because there's already a ton of options.
It is a good game. So we have another question here. Would you consider altering the ranking algorithm to make it less prone to new games jumping so high to
I'm
the
not going to change the ranking algorithm. Because all the people who don't love the current algorithm, well, there will be a new group of people who hate it if I change it. So I really can't change it.
It's interesting because for years and years, Puerto Rico and Twilight Struggle were the number 1 games for a long, long time. And then all of a sudden now it's been new game jumps and new game jumps. And do you think that's more because back then, when we started, gaming was kind of a smaller community. Now it seems like it's much more popular. There's a lot more people than there used to be.
There's so many more people. We're getting 1,000 new users per day.
Wow.
Which is kind of crazy, right? And I think those people are playing what's available, and then they come in and, if you've never had a, let's say, Oreo cookie before, and you eat an Oreo cookie for the first time, even though it's best thing ever, or maybe one of the, I'm trying to come up with a good analogy, but basically, the games are so awesome these days, right? There really is a lot of great games that are way better than the old ones, really, if I'm being honest. So they're experiencing the new games, and they're really excited about it. So 10, these are great games.
Yes.
You can't go back in history and write the old games because it's. I mean, some people go back and watch old movies, but I'm not really interested in even watching great old movies. So it's sort of the same problem.
Yeah.
I don't really see it as a problem.
No, I don't see it as a problem either. It's just been interesting because I looked at like Puerto Rico was my number 2 game of all time in my top 100, and I'm like,
Is it still?
yeah. Well,
Number
I just did my top 100 recently,
Okay.
and Puerto Rico still up there.
Okay, that's
I mean,
strong.
There's
That's
been
pretty
some
strong.
other games that made it. Well, maybe you guys have to watch my top 100
That's right.
to see it, but
Advertise that
there was
top 100.
that's what you have to do. You have to you always have to be plugging,
tease. Always be
teasing,
plugging. Always be plugging.
always teasing. I do have 2 new games that are more new Euro designs that made it into my top 10, but in like Puerto Rico is still like my favorite
Okay,
Euro.
so 20% of your top 10 is new. I mean, and that's sort of natural, right? Because the newer games are better. They really are.
Yes.
They're building on top of mechanisms and strategy games that have been around for a long time, and you just make them better, really. I mean,
Yeah.
So
And you wonder what what's
I can't
needed
really
new.
change that ranking algorithm.
No.
I think it's okay. I understand feels like it's in chaos and it's in flux and there's volatility, but I kind of like that.
Well,
So
a good old
that's me.
game when it gets reprinted, then people will get to know it, and then all of a sudden that might shoot back up, and people
Like
will
through
be
the ages, right?
Exactly, through the ages. The new version
New
is
version,
now.
yeah, it's like in the top 10.
Exactly, the new version is the top 10. The old version is not. But
Right.
I love how everything's split. Like you have Small World and you have Small World Designers Edition as a separate category.
Yeah, that's a problem. But we do it for a reason, and I'll talk about that some other time.
Well, speaking of reasons,
Reason.
here's another interesting question from Wayne here. Any chance of an official app with a built-in barcode reader in the future to make the collection part where you could log your collection
Man, that would be so
and
awesome.
gameplays, etc., update easier?
I would love to make one of those. I just need to find someone with the expertise to do it.
So Wayne, if you know how to program and do
No official,
Barcode reading.
no official call for resumes yet. Not yet. We have to do a whole bunch more work before we get to that point. But we want one, yes, of course.
Yes. So here's another interesting question. Obviously through the website, through Board Game Geek, a lot of people are learning about games from Asia, and you've been bringing over games in your store.
Importing,
You
yep.
bring a lot of the Oink games and other games over. So is there? I guess they're asking if there's an area of the world that you think has like games that we don't even know about. And
Korea.
Korea, yes.
Nobody knows. I mean, there's a couple companies there, but it's really not a lot of games coming out of Korea. I bet there's a lot of games being made.
Yeah.
South Korea, of course.
Yeah, it's really interesting. So it's like
We were just talking about South Korea today,
they've
or
had-
yesterday, and
they've
I'm
had
just
a
like,
lot of
what's
good
going on
games.
there? We've heard there's been things coming out, and so I think that's an untapped. And I still think Japan has a lot of stuff
Unique.
coming, because a lot of their games that have been created in the past few years are just like single mechanisms, very simple, like quick. I won't say. I don't know. They're just simpler, right? They're just like one thing.
Yes.
Eventually, some of those guys and girls are they might want some a little more interest, put a little more meat on the bones, as it were, right? And come out with some
Exactly.
better. I don't say better, because I love Japanese games
So do I.
and Taiwanese. So
Yes.
anyway, I think they're evolving into more modern game design. So I'm excited to see what comes out of it.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that it's pretty exciting, like where the market's going, and there's so many neat things.
It's really fascinating.
So-
Looking on it, just thinking about back in 1999, 1998,
Yes.
from Settlers to where we are now.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, Settlers was even older, like 95.
Right.
Settlers was like.
I didn't
wow.
find it until like 96, 97.
Oh, really? I found it like the day it came out. We were playing Magic.
I was not in the board gaming back then.
Really?
Like, I was basically, I had worked in the video game industry, I was working in computer graphics. I
Uh-huh.
moved to California and did a startup in the computer graphics industry. 3DFX, if anybody old schoolers remember that.
I know that.
And then I had just moved back to Dallas, and that's where I kind of got into it.
Yeah. Okay, so here's another interesting question we have. I guess this person is designing a new game. So if someone wants to kickstart their board game, do you recommend first registering on Board Game Geek, or what do people usually do when they have a new Kickstarter?
Make sure it's on BGG before you start your Kickstarter.
Yes.
Make sure it's on BGG as soon as it's ready, like it's done. You're not going to change anymore. Done. I'm going to kickstart it. Put it on BGG.
There you go, Inks. There's your answer for that. Ian has another question. Will the site redesign be finished this year?
No.
No.
But we're working on it.
Yep.
It's really hard. It's the hardest thing I've ever done in my life.
I can imagine.
And it's challenging, right? Because it's not just simply like, oh, let's just rewrite the thing. There's a lot of underlying technological issues, and we have millions of users. Like, so we have to deal with that too. I mean, there's like this, lots of hurdles to overcome. We're working on it. We're having a meeting in 2 hours to have discussions about it.
Yes, exactly. No, it's when it comes.
We're a small team.
Oh,
Even
I
though we
know.
have 8 employees, 2 programmers, 1 designer.
Mm-hmm.
So we kind of want to keep it that way because putting a new person in is like, you know, like maybe it'll slow us down again, and we have to. There's like all kinds of weird issues. We may want 1 more programmer.
Yeah. So get your resumes ready because
Nope,
this
not
guy
yet.
might be looking to hire.
I might be, but I'll let you know. I don't want to. I can't respond to anything right now. But I'm gonna. We have to get. You know, it's kind of evolving, right? Each year goes like, okay, well, we need to. You know, we're always like, we really need to finish this. But you keep coming against these hurdles, right? These barriers, and we're really cutting edge. We're using like kind of cutting edge technology on the back end or the front end. That's been a problem because it's like a Google product, and we have to wait for Google designers and engineers to kind of make sure the bugs are. You know, it's weird to find bugs in Google code. Right?
Yeah.
Like you're like, oh, we're using Google stuff, but like this is broken, so we can't fix that part until they fix that part. You know what I mean? Like you're kind of blocked, and I'm not blaming them, but that's the challenges.
No, I know what it's like in my job too. It's tough to get through when you're relying on something else, and then you have to turn it into something else.
Right, and then and honestly, that's not why it's taking so long. We're just pretty small and working on it.
You know, next evolution, just going to get better and better. I mean, the site is.
We have lots of plans, so we're not going anywhere. We're not, you know, the site still works. It's like when someone says, it's like changing the tires of a race car while you're in the race. Like you have to kind of, while the car's moving, right? Like I can't break stuff. You know, that's those kind of challenges.
One good piece of advice, as we found out from the IMDb, what happened with them, don't ever get rid of your chat rooms or your forums, because once you do that, people flock away. People still like the interaction.
That boggles my mind. Boggling my mind. I have no idea. Anyway, I've always wanted a movie geek, but not that I'm not gonna do one of those before I finish a redesign. So
movie geek might be coming in a few years. This is very, very, very interesting. I would love it because I want to be able to chit chat about movies again.
Who doesn't want to talk about movies? It's such a weird anti-internet thing. But
I know. But anyway,
this just got so toxic. I really never participated in the IMDb forums.
Yeah.
But
well, luckily our industry is still small enough that you don't get all the trolls and all the crazy people out there, and you have good moderators that actually moderate the content.
Yes, exactly. We're pretty strict. So if you. And I want to say that, if you ever feel like BGG is like if you get a real negative experience and it's just because like one person like said something to you that was rude or like an attack, report it.
Yeah.
Click that red X. We look at everything.
Exactly.
So I know as we grow, we're going to have challenges like that. 100,000 people a day. They're not all nice.
Exactly. But you hope most of them are. Everyone out there is nice watching us, and you're nice. So
thanks,
that's
Jason.
all we need. But anyway, it's a pleasure having you on, and congratulations, and keep going forward. Site, I love the site.
Thank you everybody for supporting BGG and watching the show.
Yeah, and me, I'm like, we kind of have the same path of the hobby. It's great, like hearing this.
Yeah, I had no idea that you were gaming back then. So that's
I was
cool
gaming since like '87. I'm old.
All right,
anyway,
bye everybody.
Thanks, Scott.
See ya.
And that was Aldi from Board Game Geek. Now we have Daryl Andrews coming on. So if you have questions for Daryl, just shoot them out. Daryl has a lot going on. So let's bring him in, and let's bring in Jessica also from his company. And we've got some new guests coming in here. So you've had a big year. This has been like your year of design.
It's a good year. It's been a good year.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the last year and a half you had, Sagrada came out, and all of a sudden everything started rolling for you.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was really exciting to finally see Sagrada and a bunch of other designs that I had been waiting to come out. Floodgate Games had done a really good job of building up the excitement for Sagrada. So even the previous year at Gen Con, they were previewing it, and the Kickstarter happened. There was a really great response. But really, it was really fun this last year to finally see my games coming out and people playing them. And really was a year ago here at Gathering that it really was played for the first time. So.
Yes, I remember playing it, and I was like, this game, if it doesn't win Best Artwork of the Year, there's something wrong, because it's such a gorgeous-looking game.
I'm really biased because I love it, and it's my baby. But, Adrian and I hoped it would be gorgeous, and then Peter Woken came in and crushed it. And I'm a big fan of his work, which kind of ties into, a year later, I got to be part of starting up Maple Games, and Peter is one of the core members as our creative director. So he's transitioning away from doing tons of freelance work, and now he's going to be focusing on doing Maple Games. So we're really excited about that.
Yeah, so tell me about this. You have this new company now.
Yeah. So it seemed only fitting to do a game company called Maple, for anyone who might not know.
If you don't see that big maple leaf in the Blue Jays hat there.
I am a Canadian, and there's a lot of love amongst Canadian designers, and the community has been really supportive of me. So I thought a wink to the community that helped me get here is really important, and then bring in a team of people together. Jess has joined us to be our director of development, and also helping with social media, so really the community engagement. And then we also have Eric Dahlman, who's also has a company that people might know, Albino Dragon. I got to work with him originally doing Ink Monsters, which is a game that just came out in this last year, co-designed with Erica Bioris. And so he's going to be our kind of our crowdfunding guru, helping us while we make games. So our goal is to sign games, develop games, spend a bunch of time if we need to make the game really shine. And when the game's ready, then bring it to Kickstarter, engage the community, and see what kind of way we can make the best products possible, connect directly with people, and then get those games out there.
So the first question I got, since a lot of people don't know you yet, since you're kind of newer in the industry, give us your background and an introduction so people know who Daryl Andrews is.
Absolutely. Daryl Andrews is trying to make board games. I'm married to a wonderful Tanya Andrews, and my wife is a marriage and family therapist. So try our best to be incredibly loving, and she is the most patient person I know. She is, and let me get into board game design, which is not necessarily the most profitable business, especially when it takes a few years for games to come out. So a couple years back, I left my previous jobs. I've done a variety of different jobs, anything from being a youth pastor, being a prison guard, working in board game cafes, working in board game stores, you name it. I've probably done it as either a part-timer or a full-timer, and some of that was to juggle trying to get into game design. Yeah. And now I'm really thankful that I get to do it full-time.
Yeah, so here, speaking of that, now that everyone who didn't know who Daryl was does, for Sue, who asked that earlier, Ryan's now asking, you discussed being a youth pastor when you were on a podcast recently, and are you still involved with that now that you've gone full-time into the board gaming industry? Yeah,
so I mean, it's been fun that I can still be involved in my church and my community and do a lot of volunteer work. So one of the things that I always felt when I was a youth pastor was, I had incredible volunteers, and often people have volunteering on top of the work they do. And I could volunteer a lot because doing board game design, I'm home a lot, and I'm available to be able to help with a few different types of organizations that need help during the day. So I'm really thankful that I get to be involved in a way that's volunteer based and can support a lot of different things that way.
Yep. So tell me, obviously, starting out as a designer and now going into working as a company, what have been the challenges that you've had to go through for this?
Yeah, I mean, it is definitely a different amount of bandwidth, busyness, and stress. Even just little things like learning a lot of business stuff. Thankfully, we have really great support. So we do have a CEO and CFO and COO that support everything we're doing and have kind of walked me through it. But anything from learning how to incorporate a company and do lawyer stuff and learn how to even set up a business account at the bank, you name it. That's not necessarily what I got into board games for, but it's all important stuff. So learning it and figuring it out has been tricky.
So Ryan asked for Jessica, what's your story and how did you get involved in this as well?
So I've been in the industry since Gen Con. That's when I came into the industry. So I played board games a long time before that. And then I volunteered at Gen Con with Artana Games and started meeting people and just really enjoying this industry, and decided that if I was going to work, this is the place I wanted to work with all these amazing people. So I worked with Artana Games for a while, met Daryl through a game he did with them, Speakeasy Blues, and love that game, and it'll be coming out to retail soon. The Kickstarter's getting back, so we were in a lot of contacts about that and promoting Speakeasy Blues, and then the Maple games came up, and I think it was the name, Maple. Maple probably dragged me in because I love maple syrup. I'm from Vermont originally, so yeah, I think I was like, well, I have to do that because it's maple.
Exactly. Who doesn't love maple?
Maple, yeah.
I mean, I've already crossed the border going over to Canada twice, just going across Niagara Falls, and every time I'm like, maple candy, maple sugar.
There's maple butter too. Like it's amazing.
There is? I didn't know about the maple butter.
It's not actual butter. It's like just whipped sugar, but you get to pretend it's butter and put it on things, but it's sugar.
Oh, I thought I was happy with these little maple, the ones that look like maple leaves, and then you put them in your coffee.
Yeah, and they melt in your mouth too.
Yes.
I just eat them.
Oh.
They're amazing. Yeah. All the maple. So yeah, join Maple Games.
Oh, that's very interesting. What's it been like, kind of getting into this kind of industry? It's a small budding industry at this point still.
It is. It's growing a lot, so there's a lot of new people coming on board. So, meeting those people, helping them transition. I love to help people. I love to reach out to the community. We have an amazing community of board gamers, retail stores. Everyone just helps each other, and I see it at the conventions that I go to too, promoting our games, reaching out to those retailers and to just the board gamers themselves that want to come meet the designers, meet the publishers, and get great games early. Everyone just helps each other, and I love covering that, talking about the shows I go to. I go to a lot of conventions, a lot. So I always say I wanted to run away with the circus, and this is the circus with board games. So it's the best place to be.
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing is this, there's very few negativity in this industry. It's pretty much, it's a great community. Yeah. And even between different companies, I mean, you hardly see any bad things, and companies actually talk to other companies, which is very different than in most industries.
Totally different.
Absolutely. And you want to help other people get great games to the table. You may be working with the same designer as another publisher. You want to promote everyone. The more you do to promote great games, the better it is for gamers and retailers and publishers.
So we have another question here. Do you have like a favorite game from your childhood that got you heavily interested in games, or was it more later in life, and what modern game really sparked your interest in gaming and getting involved as working in the hobby?
That's a good question.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
both of you.
Yeah,
I know for me, like Scotland Yard was actually the game that I discovered that felt different. Not hurting on Monopoly or any of those, but once I experienced Scotland Yard, I was like, ooh, games can be different, and I was really into it. I was that kid that was always trying to convince like all my mom's friends that when they'd come over for dinner, I'd be like, okay, after dinner we're gonna play this game, everyone in, and like that was when I initially got hooked. And then my real transition later was Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico was like, okay, I'm back. This is my gaming.
Yeah. Well, as a kid, I actually started with card games. I loved Rook. That was
Rook.
my favorite
I
game.
loved
I know we
Rook.
have that in common.
Yep.
But my family liked to gamble with 31, and there's a large family, lots of aunts and uncles. And I was the only kid who was allowed to play because I could banter with them, and they were mean. They'd be like, "You got nothing. You ain't gonna win this." Like, so it'd be back and forth, and I would jump in. I didn't care if I won, but I would fight them for it. So I played a lot of 31 as a kid and Rook, and then later on I had a best friend who got me into playing Imperial Assault. He had all the characters, painted them all amazing, and that's when I really started being like, wow, like there's so much involved in this that I wasn't aware of, and it went from there.
So we have another question here. By the way, Puerto Rico is my number 2 of all time. As I was just
Oh,
talking to Aldi about, we were talking about geek lists and everything, and how the top 10
It's
on
still
his site
it's
changes.
still always special to me. It's a great game.
Yeah, so we have another question here, which I guess Daryl might be able to answer more, is do designers sign exclusive contracts with publishers, or do designers sign with any publisher they want?
Yeah, that's a great question. For myself, up to Maple, I've actually always been freelance, so I've had the pleasure of working with a variety of different companies. And there's a few other publishers out here getting excited to be
Tom's
on.
arch nemesis is bugging us. His turn's coming a little later, but he's being pushy. So we do have Zeb is here and Steve Buonocore here. They'll be our next 2 guests. So if you have questions for them, just get them prepared.
Get prepared.
Steve, he's my uncle. He's actually my uncle. That's how I got into this.
That's right.
Yeah, we're related.
But yeah, just a example.
You're not on from there, Steven. You got to lean in more.
Example though, if you were to do a game with Stronghold or with Wizkids, as a designer, you can submit or at least pitch games to them, and they may set up a contract on a case-by-case basis. But there are examples of designers that work for one company exclusively. I think of an example like Eric Lang, who's a phenomenal designer, and right now, because he's very connected and involved with CMON, he's an exclusive designer for them. So I think that's kind of the comparison. Some people work exclusively for some companies and they sign on. A majority, I think, of designers are freelance right now, and they're pitching around to different companies.
Yeah, it's very interesting. So here's the question of all questions. Last question, I'll let you guys go. This is more for Jessica, because obviously diversity in gaming has been a hot topic lately. And what's it been like to come in? I mean, this has been kind of a male industry for a long time, and to come in and have a good position in a company, and what's it like to bring a female presence into the industry?
I've found it nothing but welcoming. Everybody has been amazing to me. I tend to be very enthusiastic and excited about things, and everyone's really nurtured that and been like, join in, do this. I wanted to join different genres of games. I want to learn 18xx games. I've played a few splatters. I've never had anyone really not welcome me to that, try to help me, ask me if I want help with my next turn, because some of those games get really thinky, but they're usually good about asking versus taking over, which is a big thing, I think, when you're bringing newer people into the hobby, whether it's female or not. But yeah, I found it extremely welcoming and just a huge family. It's a great energy. So.
Yes, family. That's what this industry is about. Is get your family, get your friends. This is for everyone. It's good to see. It's good to see companies expanding, and we're having more females in the industry and other things. So it's a pleasure having you guys on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll be looking forward to more games from Maple Games once they start
All the
coming
games.
out.
Absolutely.
And, for now, let me bring in Steve. Let me bring in Zeb first. Sorry, we're not going to bring Steven in until the end, but Zeb's about to jump in here. So, wait, Alan, come over here for a second. So, we haven't seen this guy since, was it Gen Con?
Yeah.
We haven't seen this guy since Gen Con. If you want to see this guy, Alan Moon is you in 15 seconds. You will be.
Oh, there's a delay.
This guy is going to be on tomorrow at 10 in the morning. So if you have questions for him, if you have jokes to send him, if you have anything, he's here. We're going to talk all about this because this is his shindig. The gathering is his shindig. So I can say I was the first person to bring Alan Moon back since Gen Con onto the Dice
Jason.
Tower, and we're looking forward to having you tomorrow morning as
Thanks. I
well.
look forward to it.
So if you guys have stuff for Alan,
Good
think
jokes.
about it, and
Great.
we have jokes for tomorrow. It's going to be a fun morning.
See you guys.
So let's bring Zev in now for his thing, and
Was that time delay?
yes,
Okay, I was like,
you'll
wait,
be
are
on
you
in
still not
15
here?
seconds.
Holy cow.
Everyone gets baffled by this if you're
That's
not used
funny.
to it.
Yes,
Um,
I'm not used to that. That is hysterical.
So people have already been saying, "Who is Zev?" Since some people know you, some
Really?
people don't.
Wow.
But let's give the background of you in this industry.
So I founded Z-Man Games. That's it. Now I work. I did that. I sold the company in 2011. Now I work for Wizkids Games, director of board games.
Yeah, you were one of the first solo people to start a company. I mean, in case you didn't know, Zev, Z-Man is the Z is for Zev.
Yes.
We could write a book called Z is for Zev now.
See, yes.
And you were one of the first people to kind of start a company. I mean, there weren't many people starting companies back when you started Z-Man Games.
Yeah, there were certainly a lot less companies out there, and probably also a lot less single person or
Yeah.
small group kind of thing. But yes, I was the only one for Z-Man. Started out as doing Shadow Fist, the collectible card game, and then grew into board games.
Yeah, it's been an interesting ride. I mean,
Yes.
for those that don't know, both of us used to live in New York, and I used to go to Zev's house in Mayapack and used to play test games with him and all sorts of things back in the day.
Oh yeah, yeah. I used to rely on a lot of friends playtesting, and that's how we got a lot of games out per year.
Yeah, it was interesting
crazy.
times. I still remember the rule book that I'm in for Arabian Nights, having to go through and make sure the Matrix worked on all of those.
We had a lot of people go through the Matrix, and it was funny. We thought we were done, and then somebody caught something from the first edition of the game, the paragraph that was still there, and we said, wait a minute, that's wrong. And then we had to go through every paragraph and try to fix it. I think I caught everything. There still might be one or two or three errors or something, but I went back and just changed the encounters to make sure it matched as much as possible. But remember, our new edition had 3,000 or so
Yeah,
paragraphs
it was
from the original
expanded.
1,000. Yeah, it was like 1,000, then the Germans added 1,000, and then I did an edition with another 1,000. Whew. That was fun
Yes.
though, but it was a labor of love.
Well, here's an interesting question from William. How do you go about calculating how many copies to print on an initial run?
Honestly, that's a great question. It's a very tough thing to answer, especially you have to weigh the who the designer is, the type of game, the buzz that a game gets. But normally, the safest thing to do is the same initial run that we do for all games, unless of course it's a license or something else. But really, that's the way to do it. Unless you have initial buzz. Because when we pull the trigger, when a publisher pulls the trigger on a print order, it's even before they get orders from distributors. So it really is a blind number. And you don't want to print too much, because if you're wrong, you can go out of business. So we do a very safe run that works. And if it sells great, if it sells out, fantastic. We pull a reprint trigger. We pull the trigger on a reprint right away and get going. But yeah, there is a calculation there, but to be safe, we do a set number pretty much for every game.
Yeah, I mean it's interesting. I mean, you have to think, is this game going to sell well? Is it not? But obviously, you do a set number. You were kind of the first small publisher to have, I guess, mega hits. I mean, you had two of them at Z-Man.
I had two. We were growing, and we got, especially in 2007. I mean, we had a string of nice hits. I mean, I had a lot of evergreens. No Thanks, Saboteur, Fairy Tale. I brought in a lot of Japanese games, and those were doing well. Then in 2007, we had like a string of hits with 1960, The Making of a President, Prophecy, Duel in the Dark. So those three were really very well, and a couple other little things here and there. And then in 2008, we hit Pandemic, in February, and then we did Agricola in June of
Yes.
2008. And those two things exploded the company, and that was fantastic. That was really good.
And you picked those up in two different ways. One was a European game, and one was like a straight American.
Yeah, original.
design.
Yeah. A Pandemic obviously was an original. Matt Leacock saw the game. I loved it. I said I had to do it. And Agricola was, yes, it was a license from Lookout, but I established a relationship with Lookout prior because I did their Scepter of Zavendor and I did End of the Triumvirate. And both games did very well for me, but it also established a relationship. So when they came out with Agricola, they were like, Z-Man, it's yours if you want it. And of course I said, yeah, dude, this is a great game. And yeah, history.
Yeah, well, it's kind of interesting, like, you know, deciding, am I going to pick a game from Europe or am I going to have an in-house game? And what's it like having to, you know, going up to Europe and making partnerships? That was a big thing with your company for a while.
That was, well, I always tried to do, I love original stuff, so I always try to maintain a balance, probably like 50% licensed, 50% original. And I think I pretty much did that. But I did do a lot of licensed stuff. Again, I brought in a lot of games from Japan, and then I was making partnerships in Europe. But remember, I was a new player also early on, and there were other companies that were more established. So
Yes.
I had to approach publishers that weren't yet, foreign publishers who were not yet established with the American publishers bringing over foreign stuff, and or finding that obscure but cool game to give myself a name and where people would go, yeah, you know what, I want to work with Z-Man and have him do these other things. So it was a lot of work, but it was fun. It was really, really a good experience meeting all these companies and talking with them and establishing relationships.
Yes, it's very interesting. So here's an interesting question that I just saw. I gotta find it.
Yeah, I see a bunch.
Now that you're at Wizkids, what do you consider a Wizkids style game different than when you were at Z-Man? Like, do you look for different types of games because you're with a different company, or do you still look for the same style game and now you're bringing your original vision style from Z-Man over to Wizkids?
So it is my original vision because I'm the director of board games there. My goal is the Z-Man philosophy. I look for good, fun, cool, unique games. Okay? But the other side is there's still the Wizkids side with their licenses. They do have licenses, so I do games in that vein as well. But I also try to be different. If you look at Rock, Paper, Wizard, that's a D&D licensed game, but that's very different than your usual
Yes.
Dungeons and Dragons game.
Yes.
So I try to be different even with a license. But my goal is still finding the cool, unique game that I did at Z-Man. So if you like my Z-Man catalog, some of it, I think you will absolutely like some of the games I brought to Wizkids. And I think I've already brought some very cool, different things
Oh,
to Wizkids.
you brought a ton of cool things to Wizkids so far. Like, you know how much I loved Wartime, and I was so glad to see
Yeah,
that one out.
Wartime, yeah, great. Sidereal Confluence.
Yes.
Who Should We Eat? Now we have Kung Fu Zoo, which is very fun, lighthearted family game. So, nothing is off limits as if I think it's really good and fun and unique.
Yeah, I mean, it brings Wizkids was always known as the Hero Clicks and the Dice Masters, and you brought a whole board game side to the company when you joined.
Yes, and that's why we're also coming out with a lot of games, because I'm trying to break through the perception that Wizkids is only the Hero Clicks, Dice Masters, and or licensed games. So we're trying to show that no, we're doing a plethora of different types of games.
Yeah. So here's an interesting question about publishing from John. Have you ever had a game that was very far along in design that never came to market, where you had it ready and then you decided not to bring it to market?
There are games where we pushed back a thing, like, for example, like we were going to come out with a game in a particular year or maybe a particular month and moved it. There might have been one or two where we had it and then I decided not to, but I'm sure there is, I just don't remember which one it might be. But I'm pretty sure there's at least one game where, you know what, we had it all done and then we changed the mind for whatever reason, and there could be many reasons. Maybe another game like it came out and we thought, hey, it just doesn't work now, or it's been done. But I'm hard pressed to find that title.
Yeah. So next question is from Seth. Do you have any games that you didn't expect much from that ended up being huge hits, and any games you expected to be huge that never caught on?
Yes, there were absolute games. I think early early in the Z-Man thing, there were a couple of games that I thought would do very well and did not. I think Shazam was one of them, and people were probably going to say, what is Shazam? That one I thought was going to catch on really, really well, and it did not. Actually, again, going back old, Ideology, right? Ideology was a political influence game. I didn't think it was going to do that well, but it did fantastic, at least in the beginning. There are definitely, and there are several examples. I just don't remember them all, but there are some where I actually like Battle Chaos is another one that I thought was going to be a huge hit. It was Carcassonne with area control, area majority and stuff, and I thought it was easy. It's all tiling, it's this, but it just did not do well. So that answers that one. In terms of others that did well, you know what? Actually, even going back to Tales of Arabian Nights, for example, I thought it was going to do okay, but I thought, the paragraph style game, who's going to be interested in that? And that took off fantastically. So a lot of people really loved that.
So people are asking about some new games here. Ubuntu.
It's actually Buonocore.
Buonocore.
Bumuntu. I think a great game that's coming out for Essen. We actually have a prototype of it here. Getting good buzz here. I think that's going to be a fantastic game.
We're in overtime.
Don't worry, Stephen. You'll have time.
Get to Canada with you.
We're going to be okay. So Zev and Stephen, we're going to Canada right after this to go play some mini golf and stuff. Stephen said we have to leave at 11 no matter what. So if I stay with Zev a little longer, he might not be able to come on the show, which would work. No. Maybe we don't want him on.
No. Somebody did ask about Beyond the Edge. I just want to. I saw that one. Yes, we plan to do more pictures. The thing is, Beyond the Edge is still in graphic design. Don't get me started. It's been a long thing, but I want it out when it's out and when it's ready. I'm not rushing it anymore, but I promise we'll post more pics maybe in the next few weeks. But I'm hoping to get that out very, very soon.
And someone asked about Fury of Dracula.
Fury of Dracula should be out by August, I think. So nice. we got new new minis. They're going to be painted. We've increased the cards to poker size, and we've sort of rewrote the rule book. We integrated a lot of the fact questions and so on. So look for a cool new Fury of Dracula by August.
Yes, and the one game I got to ask before I let you go is you have this new Magic game coming out.
Yes, we have a Magic the Gathering themed board game. Absolutely. Yes.
And tell us about it. This has been like the hype. This has been the hype of the hype because you're going to get Magic people, you're going to get board games, you're going to get everyone.
So it's a Euro game. Let's put that right out there. So I'm hoping it's what Lords of Waterdeep was to Dungeons and Dragons. We're hoping Heroes of Dominaria will be to Magic the Gathering. So that's it. But it is a Euro. It's not a battling game. It's not dueling. It's not card. It's not Planeswalker Heroes. The Planeswalker Arena game, whatever. But it's a Euro game. But a very accessible one.
Yes. No, I'm excited for that title.
Cool.
I'm very excited for that title. Well, it's a pleasure having you as always.
Same here.
My old testing partner.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys.
Yes. And I guess we'll be doing our mini golf very shortly.
I would like that.
I've been trying to delay the time, just so Stephen doesn't get much talk time here.
Come on. He's got a lot to say.
He's the one who said we're leaving by 11 no matter what.
Well, that's right. So take care.
That's right.
We can go longer, but this is up to you, Stephen. How much time do you actually want on the show today?
It's cold. It's cold in Niagara Falls. I had to put on this jacket here. I'm kidding. But I had to wear some red for everybody because everyone expects that I'm always wearing red. I'm not. Not today.
Your stylish black. Is that for like formal night?
No, I needed a long sleeve shirt to literally go out today because it is 37 degrees outside right now. It's crazy. But hey, good to see you, man.
Yes, it's always good.
My neighbor in Florida now.
Yes, you just moved down. Tell me about what it's been like to move your whole company.
Oh, it's amazing. And yeah, I've spoken about it. Florida is actually just a perfect place for me. Cold weather like this is not my thing, even though I lived my entire life in New York and New Jersey. It's beautiful, it looks beautiful, it feels nice, and of course, since as publishers we can do this from any place in the country with a good internet connection, so it's a really lovely move to have made, and it's a very big change for me, of course, because I've never lived more than like 25 miles point to point, like over the Sound from like Queens down to New Jersey, probably 25 miles. That's the furthest I've ever lived. Now 1,200 miles away from my old home.
It's the place to be. I mean, I moved down. Zev moved down right after me. You moved down. We're getting everyone to come.
But there is
come down.
Tom, Tom is there. But
Tom's
it's all right.
awesome. Tom's awesome.
Tom's awesome. I love Tom.
And now we have you as our neighbor. I don't know how Tom's going to deal with this. So the first question I got is, who is this guy? We don't know who he is.
Who is this guy?
They want to look for. Okay, this is Stephen Buonocore.
Come on.
Who is Tom's arch nemesis, who runs Stronghold Games.
Arch nemesis of gaming.
Arch nemesis of gaming. No.
President of Stronghold Games.
Tell us about the company a little.
Stronghold Games, I would think everyone would know, but been in business since 2009. We started a small company, and we have grown precipitously ever since. We now, of course, have Terraforming Mars, which is our flagship title. Survive Escape from Atlantis has been the big title, before that, and we bring out a lot of games from European publishers. So we co-publish with them and give them the ability to bring out their titles across the world, because we do have worldwide distribution.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because I see someone here that they finally got a copy of Confusion.
Confusion is out of print. Yep.
It's interesting that when you started the company, you were doing a lot of sort of a restoration games that's doing now. You're bringing back Code 777, Confusion, Survive, games that were out many years ago.
That's right.
And you've gone from that, and now you've transformed it to a company that's working with European partners, and you have a whole game line now. So tell us about this kind of transformation. And
we specifically started the company, to do games that were out of print and had high demand. But the reason to do those exact type of games was to kind of put yourself on the map, because this is way before the days of Kickstarter. There were no Kickstarters, so you had to fund your own company, and this is what we continue to do. So to put ourselves on the map, we found great licenses like Code 777, Survive, Escape from Atlantis, Confusion, as you mentioned. We rethemed that one from an abstract into a little spy versus spy kind of thing. And we brought these out, and then you'd have gamers who would be like, I really wanted this game. Who are these guys? Well, I really want the game, so I'll take a flyer on that one. So you raise the brand. So you bring out these great games by great known designers, and you just raise your brand up with the whole thing. And then after that, we transitioned into doing our own games. We did Core Worlds with Andy Parks early on, Space Cadets with Jeff Engelstein early on. Those are the internal games. And now we do most of our games as co-publications with a European or Asian partner. So that's a big thing for us.
Yeah, no, it's been interesting because you really transformed your company on obviously the success of Terraforming Mars and a lot of other games you're bringing over, all the Friedman Freeze games. It's been very interesting to see what you've done.
It is, and now it's sort of what I do best is creating relationships. I'm good at it, I guess. Finding these companies that needed a bigger distribution for their games, and then getting the English rights on them has been a great transformation for the company, and we're going to continue to find even more partners. We continue to do great things.
It's interesting to say that you're good at the communication. It's the New Yorker in it. Oh wait,
that's right.
But you're actually from New Jersey.
I was born and raised in New York, and then moved to Jersey. So.
How could you do that? How could you do that? So I saw an interesting question earlier that I have to get to. Our audience is very interested to know. Does all of your clothing have the Stronghold logo on it?
Every piece of clothing I own has the Stronghold logo. Always be branding. Always be branding. No, it does not, of course. But when I'm here, at a thing, I'm here as Stephen Buonocore, the president of Stronghold Games. I'm not here just to game. I'm actually, publicizing the company. This is as much an industry event as it is just a gathering of friends. Funny thing is, it just started by Alan, literally just as a group of his friends 29 years ago. Yeah. This is the 29th one. And it was like 10 people or something like that he started with, and then it just kept growing. And since Alan, of course, knows so many people in the industry, more and more industry people come here. So it's I don't know what the percentage is, but it's got to be at least 20% industry people, 25% industry people from all over the world, too. All over the world.
Yeah. So getting back to clothing, undies?
What? Who's asking about my underwear? Even my underwear. Wouldn't you like to know?
Yes, wouldn't you like to know?
The Captain Bunny.
Wouldn't you like to know that?
Hey, Kabuki kid.
Okay, so
She's from New Jersey.
oh, really?
Yeah, Kabuki kid. I'm pretty sure she's from New Jersey.
Okay, so what is I guess a few industry questions. What is a co-publication?
Okay.
And also, what has been the most effective channel of marketing for you?
Co-publication means that someone else is publishing this game. This game is coming out. Like, let's take the 2F Spieler games. That's Friedman Freeze's company. They do 1 to 2 to 3 or 4 games a year, and they then look for partners for their games. So they do those games in German, and they print them in German for the local Germany, Austria, Switzerland, that local market that wants German language. And then they look for partners. We are their strategic partners for English worldwide. So we are co-publishing with them. That's what that means. What was the other question?
What do you find are the most effective channels of marketing?
Effective channels of marketing. Certainly we do a decent amount on Board Game Geek. We've done a lot with distributors recently where we put flyers in all of the boxes that go out to local game stores. The Envoy program, and everybody out there should know about Envoy. Is somebody out there from Envoy?
Wendy's from Envoy.
Oh, there you go. So everybody out there should know what Envoy is, and it's just a great way for us to get ourselves out there across all of the United States. It's a United States thing. So Envoy is a company that finds demo people for you. The demo people are incentivized. They get a game, and then they commit to demoing that game at friendly local game stores and meetup groups, maybe conventions, various ways. So I believe it's dexenvoy.com. And if you can go there, you can check that out. As a gamer, you'll be getting free games. You just make a commitment to showing the game off and things like that. So it's a win-win for us and them. And I think right now that's probably my single most effective promotional means, because if you've got boots on the ground, right? Again, I can't afford to pay all these people, but I can incentivize them with games, and we also do store splashes where people from Envoy go to stores for like a weekend, and then they'll show the game up for 5 hours. We're doing a lot of stuff with Envoy. It's probably my most effective marketing.
Your most effective marketing isn't like Dice Tower? The press? What?
Secret Cabal. I'm a sponsor of my boys at the Secret Cabal.
This interview's over. Go away. Tom wouldn't like me having you on longer now.
Fighting with Tom is a great means of marketing the company.
Okay, so I guess I saw a question back there about have there been games where you didn't like them, or you knew they were going to be a good game and published them, and have there been games that you really liked and then you realized afterwards maybe it wasn't such a good idea?
I really believe in every game that I do. I mean, some of the issues with bringing out a game that doesn't sell is probably more due to the print run size, right? So the game didn't sell what you thought it would sell. So that's the kind of thing. But I believe that all the games that I do are excellent games. Like I call them like best in class. They excel in one way or another, and I always feel that way. Certain games, they don't catch. There's so much product out there that some games just are going to fall below the radar. They're not going to catch on. That's what happens. And then we find other channels for it.
Yes. You did a great designer series. Seth is asking, are there any designers you've never had the chance to work with that you've wanted to?
Well, I've always talked about wanting to work with Martin Wallace. He's a great designer. I'm a big fan of his games, and we are doing a Martin Wallace game this year, which we've kind of soft announced. Anyway, Australia, it was on Kickstarter. He basically kickstarted with a company out in New Zealand. That's where he lives now. They kickstarted. We're going to help them fulfill that Kickstarter, but then we're going to be doing worldwide English rights on the game after that. So that's going to be a huge hit. It's sort of the story continues after like his study in Emerald, where the Cthulhu is, they're trying to like wrest. You have the loyalists trying to win over people, and the reformists, all about Cthulhu, and now it goes down to Australia where Cthulhu has risen there. So it's a completely different kind of game, but it continues that storyline of his with Cthulhu and zombies and things like that.
Yes, I see some people are asking about, let's film me eating hot wings again, and let's talk about this hot wings story. you are crazy. You love these hot wings. Are we gonna go? You said you ate them. You didn't wait for me to eat hot wings.
Did I not say that I would go again? Actually, they just opened an Anchor bar right here, walking distance. I want to try that out. 'Cause
Okay.
I haven't been to the one in Buffalo. That was like 40 minutes away. They opened up a local one here, so I'd like to walk over there like tomorrow or something.
So there you go. We might have video of me eating hot wings again. Oh, here's a good question. Would you ever publish a game from Tom if it was actually good?
Tom doesn't know how to design games, so why would I publish a game from Tom?
What do you mean?
Kidding. Of course I would.
Okay, it's 11 o'clock. We gotta go.
Of course I would publish a game from anybody, a good game, and I love Tom. It's, everyone knows it's a joke. We love to faux fight each other.
Speaking
But
of,
hashtag Tom Vassell doesn't like fun.
wait,
Hashtag Tom Vassell doesn't like
Can
fun.
I just say something?
When you see Gold Fever, which is a game that Tom Vassell doesn't like, so much fun. Anyway,
you could double hashtag because hashtag Jason doesn't like fun either.
hashtag Jason doesn't like fun either. There you go.
He's gonna get us to play this again.
Yes,
but
we're gonna play it here.
Hashtag both of us don't like fun.
There you go.
Okay, so, here's another question that is very interesting. How many times has Jason shown up to your house to play games since you've moved down to Florida?
It was none yet. But here's the funny thing: we were there for like 3 days, and he was already like texting me saying like we gotta get together. Jason, I have the next 30 years to game with you. Don't worry, we will. It's been so crazy, getting down there. We were in a rental place. Now we just moved to the permanent house. We just bought the house and got in. I'm still living in boxes, so we've been just so busy, and with the company, I haven't gotten out to see you yet, but we will. Well, absolutely, you're gonna come over. We're gonna invite you over, of course. I'll even invite Tom over. We'll have a game day at the house, but I'll definitely come down to the meetings you guys do at Cool Stuff. Well, that's
Yes,
in Hollywood, right?
Yes, we're gonna look forward to this. We're gonna have a lot more gaming together.
Absolutely.
We have gaming partner. It's gonna be fun. I'm glad that you moved down to Florida.
No, it's gonna be a lot of fun. I mean, it's a good gaming scene with all the people that are down there. I forgot to mention R&R's down there too. Frank DiLorenzo.
Yes.
Jessica Davis occasionally comes down to Florida.
Yes.
So everything. It is a great area to game, and we will do lots of gaming for the next 30 years.
Yes.
All right, we gotta go, guys.
No, we don't.
It's 11 o'clock.
This is your chance for promotion. I
Yeah,
can't
I know
believe you're
that,
turning it down.
but we told everybody we're going at 11
They're all
o'clock.
just waiting there. Let's keep going for a little. William wants to know. I'm giving you time, and you actually want to leave. Here we go. We're staying at the extra time.
Overtime. We're in overtime.
I know it's bothering him at the same time, so we're just gonna keep going.
Such a joke. I gotta text Tom to tell him that we're gonna be leaving in a little while. I haven't seen him.
Tom knows. He'll be down here shortly. William wants to know, is it challenging working with international suppliers?
It is always challenging working with international anything, right? Because time delays and stuff like that. Overall, everyone speaks the language of business is English, so that's not a problem. But there could be certain communication problems. But in general, you've got to do your due diligence on my side to make sure that with a printer in China or in Europe that they do quality work. You get samples, you make sure it's right. You have to vet the companies, and of course, you go to your friends and you ask, well, Zev, who are you using to do X, Y, and Z? And we all share information. We really, even though we're competitors, we really are good friends, all of us. So that's a great thing about this industry. We really do like each other quite a bit.
Yeah, so I agree with that. I mean, I've been saying this with all the publishers and all the designers. It's a very small industry. It's a very friendly industry, and there's very few bad people in this industry.
Very good. It really is. It's a great environment. How could it not be? We're in the business of creating fun. So at our hearts, we better to be around people. This is what we do. Sit around, play games in a table together. So we better kind of like people, and and people do for the
Well,
most
most people like fun except for.
Hashtag Tom Vassell doesn't like fun.
Did you guys know that? This is now going to be the running gimmick.
Oh,
forever.
absolutely. Oh, I'm going to be using this in marketing. In fact, wait till Dice Tower Con. I've got some real fun things planned for hashtag Tom Vassell doesn't like fun. Yeah, so now they're yelling at me over there that we're supposed to be going.
This
So
is
we do.
Steven.
It's 11:05.
This is Steven. So wait. I see one thing people want to know about. Terraforming Mars Deluxe. Are you going to tell us?
It's no. There's. I mean, it's not. In all seriousness, it's not like in progress. But in my humble opinion, it will absolutely happen. I just have to get Fricks because they do own the IP, right? I do.
Yes.
I have English Worldwide. They own the IP. I've got to get them moving in that direction. I believe it will happen. If it does at this point, it's a 2020 event. It's not this year. Obviously, it's not next year. It would be a 2020 event.
So there you go. It will happen at some point. Here's a sentimental question. Well, we'll start wrapping it up, but I want to get into all these people's questions. It's important. When you first started Stronghold, would you ever imagine your company and the hobby as a whole being what it is now and how it's grown?
No, I really did not imagine it would be what it is. It's obviously we all have, believe in what we can do. I certainly believed in myself, but to think that it has become, a major hobby game publisher, I like to think that we are. We've got the recognition, the brand recognition. We've got the great titles. I thought it was going to be a job that, as I retired from the previous thing, I was in IT on Wall Street for 35 years. As I retired from that, I could then do this kind of into retirement. I had to leave that to just keep this thing going because there's no more time in my life. So, and now we have 3 people working at the company. So it's a great thing. It's been a great ride, and will continue.
I think they want a game. Can you see that? Can we get a game called hashtag Tom Vassell Doesn't Like Fun?
Yeah, that's called Gold Fever. That's the game. Check out Gold Fever.
No, we need to design a game about Tom not enjoying games. Think about it.
I got it. I'm not a designer though, so maybe one of you guys out there should pitch me that game.
I see another question from someone that's name starts with a J there. It says, favorite Dice Tower personality, Tom or Jason?
Jason, of course, is my favorite.
There you go.
I love you.
No, it's a pleasure having you on.
No, thanks, man. Thank you. Thank you guys for your questions and listening to all this nonsense and stuff like that.
I'm sorry we have to wrap this up. I would have kept him on another hour. This was a chance to be on our show as long as he ever wanted to be. But where are we going?
Hashtag Jason lies a lot. Because I know he won't do that. We're going to Canada. We're going to go over to Niagara. We're in Niagara Falls, New York. We're going to walk across the Rainbow Bridge to Niagara Falls, Ontario. We're gonna go see the falls. We're gonna go eat really cool brick oven pizza, probably. We're gonna go probably play miniature golf. We're gonna go to an arcade and shoot things. It's a silly, act like a 15-year-old boy and girl kind of thing day.
We're not even gonna get. I mean, eventually we're gonna get back here and actually game. But for now,
no gaming today for me. We're just gonna hang out.
Eventually we're gonna get back and play games tonight.
Tonight we'll play. Yeah, actually, Aldi and I. And Chad Krazan and Matt Monin, you know them?
Yep.
We have an annual thing. Actually, Aldi's not going to be playing this year because he already played the scenario. We're going to be playing Time Stories. So Zev, me, Chad Krazan, and Matt Monin. We're going to play Time Stories, one of the modules. I don't remember which one, but he played all the modules, so he couldn't participate this year. So.
Yeah.
He should have annual things.
He should have waited. And done it then.
All right, gots to go. Signing
Wait
off.
for me, because I still have to put all this equipment back in my room.
No, we're leaving without you, Jason. Leaving without you, so.
Okay.
Bye. All right,
hashtag Steven Buonocore is a jerk.
We'll wait for you. Take care, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Appreciate it.
Yes, and Brandon, I see you talked about snakes and lattes. Me, Tom, Sam Z, and I believe Mandy, we're going up Friday. We'll probably get there around noon or 1. We're going to do it right after I do my live interviews on Friday. So once I'm done with that, we're going to go up. We're going up to Snakes Lattes for a few hours. So for those of you in Canada, if you want to come meet us, it's going to be a good chance to say hi, and we'll all be there for that. Other than that, thank you for watching as always. Enjoy today. Tomorrow, as you probably saw, our big guest is Alan Moon. And I really, we're going to get to talk to him all about everything. He's got, he might have some jokes. I don't know what Alan's going to do, and this one's live. And then we have Phil Walker Harding, who's been a hot designer lately with Emotep Barron Park. We have Gil Hova. We have Jonathan Gilmore, for those of you who like Dinosaur Island. So we have a ton of guests coming up, but this is your chance. If you have questions for Alan Moon, this is your chance. We've got him tomorrow. And we have even more people on Friday, including Eric Lang. It's going to be great. And Snakes and Lattes on Friday, and all sorts of things. But anyway, for now, I got to get ready because we're about to go play mini golf. For everyone at the Dice Tower, this has been Jason Levine, and thank you for watching. You better wait for me. You better wait for me.